The new foreign minister of Argentina said, quote, "To impede by force the functioning of the legislative assembly is to condemn oneself to international isolation." And Argentina called the regime's actions, quote, "unacceptable." Mexico said, quote, "The legitimate functioning of the legislative power is inviolable in democracies." Brazil said it would, quote, "would not recognize any result of this violence and affront to democracy." The Lima Group, Latin American countries plus Canada, congratulated Guaido on his re-election and said it, quote, "condemns the use of force and intimidation tactics against members of the National Assembly and condemns, quote, the systematic violations of human rights committed by the illegitimate and dictatorial regime of Nicolas Maduro." We look forward as well to working with democracies around the world in support of democracy in Venezuela. This is a struggle against a regime that, as we saw yesterday, will do anything to prevent the return of democracy. We have no doubt that Venezuelans will win their struggle and return their country to democracy. We will be looking at new additional measures, positive measures to support Democrats in Venezuela and try to get more support from countries, Democratic parties, parliaments around the world, the democratic world, and also more pressure on those who are continuing to support the regime. I think what you saw yesterday was something the regime didn't want to do. Initially, they wanted a vote, and they wanted to win the vote in the National Assembly, and they couldn't do it. With weeks and months of effort, they couldn't do it, and they were forced to this last desperate resort of using the military, knowing that what we saw has actually happened, which is they've been condemned everywhere. So I don't think they come out of yesterday stronger. I think they come out of yesterday weaker.
So I'll buy it. You've now mentioned twice that there's going to be more American help to the Forces of Freedom. What specifically are you talking about, and what kind of confidence do you have that that will change the year-long kind of standoff there?
Sorry, Assembly Presidents.
Well, we will see what happens tomorrow. Guaido has publicly stated that he will go to the National Assembly tomorrow. Now, as you know from all those videos, yesterday, soldiers physically prevented him from going in. Will they tomorrow? We'll see. What can this phony new leadership of the National Assembly do? They don't have the votes. There's a clear majority out of the 2015 election for Guaido and for the Democratic opposition. So I think it's impossible to say yet how that will turn out. On Russia, there are certainly people who used to support Hugo Chavez, who have, as recently as yesterday and today, made their disgust at what happened yesterday known. We underestimated the importance of Cuban and Russian support for the regime, which has proved, I think, to be the two most important pillars of support for the regime, and without which it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't be in power. You have a new government in Argentina that has taken a slightly different position, and obviously so has Mexico. They have not taken the same position as the United States. So it was very interesting when on the same day, without hesitation, both of them really called what happened yesterday in Caracas unacceptable and rejected it. And I think that's really quite striking. And Maduro must be asking himself today, do I have any allies left? They're not going to support those kinds of measures. They're going to denounce those kinds of measures. He is left with Cuba, Russia, China, and a few odd dictatorships around the world. But he is losing the support not only on the right, not only in the center, but on the left in Latin America. So as of today, you couldn't possibly have a free election. You would need significantly to change the conditions.